Right, good afternoon, everybody. It's a nice sunny day, but unfortunately, we're under lockdown, aren't we? So, hopefully this stream just gives people a chance to chat and stay sane, because I assume most people watching are in a country with some sort of lockdown or not, So, if you're all going to be like us, all right, Mike. But yeah, so it's Good Friday, it's Easter weekend, but the government is saying, and I agree with them, people should stay home, don't go out just because it's a nice day. Hello, Spaghetti, shalom to you as well. It's Passover, isn't it? Around now with sort of the Jewish people as well. I think they were mentioning that on the radio the other day, but I don't actually know when most of the events are that aren't on the Christian calendar. And I'm barely Christian as well, but and don't forget to like the stream, everybody. The thing is, I think with some people, they might be in circumstances where they do have to visit people. But most people, should not be doing stuff unless it's absolutely essential, they do it. All right, Tumbo, how's things with you? But yeah, with me, nothing really going on. I cleaned my car ever so slightly earlier, not fully. Just getting some bird shit off of it, and I didn't even manage to get all of it off because some of it is really stuck on. I think I've got some stuff somewhere in one of the cupboards that's like what you put on cars to get like tree sap and bird shit off. Maybe eBay Jlovens. I mean, if you really wanted one eBay, I think most people, unless you're a real collector, wouldn't want SS gear. But right, Richard, right, Archie. I assume you mean all right, gas masks and stuff, but all right if that's what you mean. I'm doing all right, Thin Blue Line. But yeah, today is a nice sunny day, and the government is pleading with people to stay in, as you might imagine, because lots of people, it's Easter, they want to go out and enjoy themselves, but sadly that could cost people's lives. So, Oh, good luck, Orion, because yeah, you definitely really don't want to be on a ward in a hospital at a time like this, do you? But that's cool, Caxi Alien. But an egg shortage, Yakov, that's weird. I know a few people are saying different places they can't get eggs. Is it just everybody's decided to start baking at once? I got the regular letter, Beano. I didn't get a shielding letter, thankfully. I got one of the ones just explaining, where they were writing all of it saying, please stay inside, this is how long you need to stay inside if somebody's got in your house. So I've been following all of it anyway. But all right, okay. Well, it's because they start swelling up or something, isn't it, Orion? That's cool, Rich. Hopefully that goes all right. But yeah, I think I need to get some sort of DIY project like that. As I said a few days ago, I'm actually struggling to keep track of the days at the moment. I repaired this, so I now have a working one of these again, which is lovely. Because, I bought one of these quite cheap, and, it was in a broken condition. It was a quite easy fix. So it shouldn't be going that high, by the way, the needle. Oh yeah, it's falling back down. I was going to say, I'd be a bit worried if it was at 300 milli Rontgen. But yeah, that's like the only DIY type thing I've done recently. I really ought to get a lot of it done at the moment, because again, if you're stuck inside not doing much. Not really, I'm afraid, Thin Blue Line. I mean, there's the Discord for people that donate, or you could just try and add me on Discord and talk to me on there, but sadly, a lot of times when I've given out emails, and I just get a lot of spam, not necessarily from the people asking for it, but other people see me, giving out the address. Thank you very much, underscore, or hash, whatever your name is. Aggle, yeah, you are on the Discord though, aren't you, Mr. Potato, because you were talking to me on there. They didn't let you in, but then I suppose, Yakov, they realised if you'd got a mask on, you were taking precautions, hadn't they? So yeah, I'll ask you, Yakov, because I think I didn't get an answer. Is it Passover around now? Because I know it's obviously Easter with all the Christian calendar stuff, but I've had a lot of, I know there's like a lot of the Jewish and Christian stuff comes around at the same time, doesn't it? But I don't actually know personally, That's all right, Finn Blue Line. But yeah, with gun stuff, I want to be very careful because obviously the UK gun laws are very restrictive, so I have to be very careful what I say about firearms and stuff. All right, it's Passover around now. I'm in all right. Yeah, don't touch your face if you've been out and about. If you've been in your house and you've washed your hands, touching your face is not a problem. Yeah, sounds like a good idea, Eric. So Passover started yesterday, and yeah, it's Good Friday with Easter today, isn't it? And then it's Easter Sunday this Sunday, I imagine. I haven't got any Easter eggs, but I think going out to buy chocolate Easter eggs is not an essential. Don't forget to like the stream. I found weirdly, Eric, sometimes with air rifles, certain pellets work well with certain air rifles, and some other air rifles hate them. Because with my air rifle, I've got the I think it was the Diablo pellets I bought, and lots of people really rated them and said these are brilliant pellets. For me, I didn't find them very good at all. But I think it was just, the air guns I had just disagreed with them. Yeah, that was the dosimeter beeping. I've got this set at the moment to record, microsieverts. Every time it gets a microsievert, it logs. So at the moment, it's a 25 microsieverts from a few days ago. Weirdly on this, it can obviously record microsieverts, and if you see the millisievert thing, it's got 3 zeros there, so it can fully record on microsieverts. But yeah, when you're in measuring mode, it doesn't measure more than 10 microsieverts at once, which is very strange. There might be a way of changing that in the menus. I've not played about with it enough yet, but I'll look into that. That's cool, Vin Blue Line. If it's something you're doing that's a restoration, that's really nice. Yeah. What you could do, Finn Blue Line, although I'm not going to guarantee I could see it easily, because sadly you can't share links on here. If you make a photo bucket type thing or one of those sites, upload a load of the images to there, then put a link in a non-stream where it will let you put a link. I could look at it that way. Yeah, the GVS ellipse. I keep wanting to call it the Eclipse IKSD, but it's actually the ellipse, and yes, it'd be fine for that. Some random dude, when I've been looking at my meters, they've been ever so slightly higher, but for me that's kind of hard to tell because background radiation is never stable anyway. In a lot of areas, you get a 0.10 to 0.15 kind of microsievert shift anyway. Loven Sock says, if my calculation right, the death of corona will overtake swine flu's death count at day 144. Yeah, the thing is with a lot of proper flu epidemic sort of outbreaks, is that, yeah, they kill a lot of people, but people kind of don't understand that because it happens over the course of a couple of years across the globe. But that sounds good, Eric. Yeah, that sounds quite silly, Alpha Amiga, if they're doing a thing of, banning certain things, but then, of course, farmers need that sort of stuff, don't they, for pest control reasons. Oh, that's interesting, Vulcan exploring. So, yeah, I'm assuming that, yeah, they had to evacuate people in case it got people, like, collateral. If you're looking after it well, Jape, it'll probably be all right, hopefully. But the issue is with some of those old French masks is just some of the rubber has deteriorated horribly by the time people have got them. But if you're lucky enough to have got one, it's in a usable condition. Just store it in a cool, dry place and it'll probably be fine. Yeah, that could be a thing, Richard. I know there are still people in the UK who use them with the non-FAC air rifles that do like them. But I think sometimes it can just be down to, yeah, your individual rifles barreling, the individual pressure of the thing. There could be a lot of factors, couldn't there? But yeah, again, I think it can just be factors like that. Different air rifles, different rifling. But I know even with full firearms, a lot of gun channels say things like, there's just certain brands of ammunition certain guns don't even seem to like. And what's even weirder is when some people own more than one of the same thing, let's say a Ruger 1022. They've got like 2 Ruger 1022s, and one is just fine with one type of ammunition, and one of the guns just doesn't like it. I've got Cax, a World War II German helmet without a liner that's very rusty, so it's not in good condition or anything. But Eric said we had a World War II bunker in the garden that we never knew about. During building work, we found some old civil defence masks, jars, and cans of 740s. Oh, that's very cool. That's a shame it's obviously wasn't all in good condition. That's very cool if you find like an old time capsule sort of bunker in your garden, isn't it? Yep, it's not an aircraft clock, it's a height gauge. It's not an actual very radioactive one, that's why I've got it there. But I've got quite a few of these that are old radioactive radium painted aircraft dials. This one barely has radium paint on it. I think it's when they scraped it off and repainted it. But yeah, it's a height gauge if the camera wants to focus. Hang on, I'll tell you what I can do. I can put the orange, show the orange paint. See that? It's got the fluorescent orange kind of paint on. Yeah, it's height gauge. Sadly, I do not have a laser rifle. Yeah, it's strange, thin blue line. I think there's a lot of laws like that in countries that vary. Sadly, I can't show the Martini Henry on the stream because of the weird YouTube rules. But yeah, if you get antique guns or obsolete calibers, they don't need to be deactivated, although obviously some still are, or anything like that. But there's lots of different rules to regards ammunition shooting. The main problem I think I found in the UK when I've looked into it before is, say, for example, you're interested in getting a black powder pistol. The issue is that some gun shops won't sell it to you unless you have a firearms license, even though you don't need one, because they want to cover themselves, basically. They don't want to risk selling it to somebody who's just going to load it and then shoot somebody. Thank you, Rusty. He said it's normally bullet weight and barrel twist that's not compatible and cause tumbling. That sounds a very good point. Yeah, that's the thing, Tumbo. I like the SMK Spitfires because, again, they're not the best pellets by a mile, but if you're shooting sort of targets at 10 yards or whatever in a garden, you know, it's not really going to matter about that, is it? It's just cheap. You can run them through the air rifle, you know, and it keeps you practiced. All right, Hype. Right, was there something you wanted to see on one of these streams when you were on? Hype, I'm trying to remember if there was something you found interesting that you wanted to see. I'm trying to think, because there's been quite a few where you've not been on. And I thought, oh, there's something Hype would probably like to see on the stream, and I can't remember. Mostly eBay CACs. eBay is generally the best place to find lots of this stuff. N95 filters are certainly better than nothing. Let's have a look at 3M652QL, because I don't know what that one is without looking it up. Yeah, that looks fine. Any particle filters for that would be good, turning null, but the better particle rating, you know, P100, P3 is better than P1. Yep. There is something I want to see if I can show on stream, because if it's out of frame, it might be all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to show you. This is empty, okay? This is an empty bit of brass. This bit, empty bit of brass, right? Let's, I just want to see if I can get the ejection mechanism to, right, if I stand about here, what I want to see is if I can get the ejection mechanism to, right, ready? Doesn't fire it far enough. I have to do it in a video, but at some point. But yeah, this actually chucks the brass probably a good, you know, few feet into the air when it ejects. The ejection mechanism's still very good in that Martini, despite the age of it. Yep, there's weirdly, I think on the shelves there, look, Hungarian grenades with the blue stripes on, next to the Soviet F1 style grenades. But yeah, they're deactivated ones. I don't think I'd ever want a live grenade just sitting about, in all honesty, even in countries where you could have them legally. So what's Thin Blue Line saying? He said, I have a JSB Diablo exact pellets in all my handguns, hunting for something over and score those pellets the group's small in US time. Yeah, that's the thing. Because I'm sure it was a JSB Diablos I used Thin Blue Line, and I just couldn't get on with them. But again, like a few people have said, it's probably down to barrel twist, pressure. There's probably lots of factors that mean they shoot like a dream through some guns or just don't, you know. And that's probably the same reason sometimes I've used pellets, which I thought were good, and other people are like, why do you like those pellets? They're crap. And I think, that's pretty cool, Chan. Oh, I don't know if you did, Tumbo, but that's cool. I suppose that would scare somebody if they didn't know they were a nerd, wouldn't it? If they just opened a box and saw loads and loads and loads of those F1 grenades. I don't know if there's any difference other than the fact the FRR is 40mm by default, whereas the GSR has the bayonet thing over the 40mm bit. I really don't know, because I've not had an FRR. Somebody who might have owned both masks could tell you, but personally I don't know. I've never used any of the Draeger Explorers, but Draeger masks are generally pretty good. Let me look up that particular model of Explore. Yeah, that looks pretty good. As long as you get the one that's 40mm, not Draeger's own proprietary filters, they do look pretty good. Saying that, I'm pretty sure the Draeger Explore one you're on about is the one that Chinese pewter mask I've got is a really bad copy of. Well, the best case scenario is a vaccine, isn't it? Because if a vaccine comes along, that sorts everything out really easily. All right, thank you, Chris. He says, no major differences other than the filters. It also has different markings. Can you breathe better, though, through the 40mm ports in the FRR? I don't support any extreme ideologies, Paul. But if I had to pick a stupid extreme ideology to support, probably the Bogdanovs, because clearly the Bogs rule everything. But in general, I'd say it's pretty stupid to go down the road of extreme ideologies, because most of them end up just killing people and are pretty stupid, whether it be far right, far left. Generally, killing people because we know best is not a good ideology. The particle bits will still definitely work, Tactical Pirate. Somebody said to me on Discord yesterday what they'd done, which was pretty cool, is they took the plastic bit off of the escape hoods and just had them as a half-face mask, and for that they worked perfectly. They actually looked a lot better without the plastic on. That's strange. So yeah, Chris, I'd say the answer is they're probably better in FRR if you definitely wanted them for 40mm. Shalom, Joseph, you alright? Happy Passover and everything, because I was asking people, was it Passover at the moment? Apparently it is. I like the really old Doom games, non-epic. I've not really got into the modern Dooms. Yeah, like the stream, everybody's shouting. Mike says he wants to be an extremist wrestler, but he can't grow the dreads. Oh dear. If on AliExpress, Herazamu, I imagine they are probably the Chinese clones of 3Ms. I'd say generally if you're wanting to buy a real 3M mask, get it from a hardware store where they probably can't sell the counterfeit ones. If you're looking at random 3M masks on eBay or other places, they're probably going to be the Chinese copies. The new British one. Let's have a look, Joseph. One Stop Cop Shop that is selling a gas mask. Let's see which one it is. Oh, that's all right, Nuke. So thankfully today everything seems to calm down a bit. But yeah, like we were saying yesterday, was a bit of a shit show, wasn't it, for all the stuff going on. But again, I'm glad a lot of people have calmed down and are being politer to each other again. But yeah, I wasn't even really sure what was going on yesterday, in all honesty. But yeah, so let's see, gas mask, respirator, gas mask, whatever term they've used for it on here. So they've got FM12s on there. They've got what looks like an FM53. Actually, no, it's a C50, isn't it? Yeah, they've got quite a few masks on here. To be honest, the £20 for the damaged FM12s aren't too bad, because for £20 for a damaged one, you could harvest a lot of parts from it, I imagine, if it's just like tears to the rubber, because you could get, the eyepieces out, the straps off, and all the other bits. So, but a lot of those masks are pretty overpriced on there, like £400 to £600 for C50s and things like that. Oh, that's interesting hype. I prefer the M50. I actually think the GSR's bayonet system for the filters, Barnabas, is a bit better, but I prefer the fact the M50 has lighter filters. In general, though, the GSR, I'm hoping the new Avon made ones are really good, because the GSR in theory could be quite a good mask. I just didn't like them initially because of all the kind of crapshoots of the quality on them. Yeah, so what you can do, Tactical Pirate, is if you don't want the creepy plastic hood with it, you can just basically carefully cut or remove that, and then you get a fairly decent half face mask with it for like £10. It's got P3 filters on it. Sadly, no. If, Eric, your GP5 has been permanently tanned due to UV damage, there's probably not much you can do. You could try rubbing it with an eraser, because I have a weird feeling Hype said you can actually use GP5s as an eraser, so I don't know if you can take the ever so slight top bit of rubber off. Now, I've got no interest in selling gas mask Gus games. I just like getting them every now and then, having a look at them and seeing how good I think they are. Okay, just make sure, unlike me, you unfold the oral nasal cup tactical pirate, so you don't don't start asphyxiating yourself with that. Richard says old BSA Supersport is labelled as being 2.2. Yeah, I've seen sometimes pellets labelled as either 5.5 or 5.6 like that. Brandon, the reviewer, says, please notice me. Hello, Brandon. Yep, so GP5 rubber works as an eraser. That's pretty fascinating, isn't it? Right. SGE 400s are the ones that I don't know if the masks themselves are actually good or not, but they were involved in like a weird kind of shilling campaign at one point where, they kept getting people to talk about on videos how good they are and how other masks are shit. But the thing is, I don't really want to endorse anybody, Peach, because then it sounds like you're not as neutral, doesn't it? My opinion is it really depends what you want a mask for, because again, the problem is a lot of people go, this mask isn't full CBRN protection or whatever, but a lot of people buying them don't give a shit about that. They just want something for like working with paint or whatever, or looking cool. I think it really depends what you want a mask for. If somebody said to me, I want a serious mask that would protect me from lots of stuff, I would give you very different advice than, what I'd sometimes say. Yep, that's a Chinese rip-off of the S10, isn't it, Tanner? Sadly, I don't have one, but I think they're pretty interesting looking. I've got the Czech OM90, or the M90, which is the Czech rip-off of an S10. It would really depend on the quality of them, but some of them are all right. I'd say don't use the filters that come with them. Use proper filters. I hope it sets a trend, Shrimp Zoo, for people actually using them just for hygiene reasons. Yep, Tumbo's spot on. He's right, it is metric and imperial. That's exactly it. Thank you, Tumbo. Because I remember reading about that before, and that's just suddenly, made it lodge there. But yeah, it's a metric imperial thing, isn't it? So that would be interesting with some of my air rifles, actually, seeing if I could get the ones that are in both sizes and then seeing which shoot better. Or if there's not a difference, but... right, the problem is protecting from fire and smoke. For NBC, a GSR in good condition would be absolutely fine, but just bear in mind with the GSR, you'd also need to get new sealed filters for it. But in regards to smoke protection, bear in mind that masks are not designed to protect you from carbon monoxide and stuff like that. If you had a mask on and there was a fire and there was smoke, it's going to stop you inhaling a lot of the shit that's in the smoke, but it won't give you air. Part of the problem is, of course, that you get flack either way when people talk about that, because some people go, oh, but it would protect you, and other people go, no, you're giving bad advice. The point is, if there's a fire, don't be trapped in the closed space of it. But in terms of the GSR for NBC protection, yep, that's what it's designed for. Especially now the newer ones are being used by the British Army that Avon are making to a really good standard, apparently. Not really new channel, because if people want to ask questions and I don't mind answering them, I only get annoyed when it's the same questions over and over on the same stream. That's very strange hype, isn't it? But they do look cool masks, those. I certainly did Brandon on one of those refillable filters. Yeah, exactly, Thin Blue Line. That's what you need to be really careful of. And I think a lot of people do forget that with fires. It's not just smoke inhalation and everything. It is carbon monoxide or lack of oxygen. An Avon N10 is basically just the S10, wasn't it? Made for civilian markets, felt the drinking tube, if I remember right. It might have had other applications for that, like police and stuff, but the N10 would be absolutely fine. But again, the thing is with all masks, when people are saying, is this surplus mask good? It depends on the condition of the individual mask. You could buy the best mask in the world in a really bad beat-up surplus condition. It wouldn't work. Right, air rifle laws in the UK, Gus Games. Let me just finish my coffee and then I'll go over it. Right. So, UK air rifle laws. I think it's different in Scotland now, but in most of the UK, at least England, how it works is if the air gun is under 12 foot-pounds, it doesn't fall under normal gun laws. It's considered to be an air rifle. You have to basically be ID checked and all that when you buy it, and they're meant to log who's bought it with your name and address and everything. You shouldn't shoot it on land. You don't have permission to shoot it on. You should obviously observe all sorts of firearms safety laws of them, because although an air rifle is obviously nowhere near as powerful as real firearms, you should still be sensible with them. Don't do anything stupid with them. But if they're under 12 foot-pounds of muzzle energy, regardless of caliber, you can own them without a firearms license. But you should still be sensible. If they power-wise go over 12 foot-pounds, they are classed as a firearm. So it's kind of with air pistols, they have to be under 6 foot-pounds as well. I've not heard of that particular one, Fimbler. Is that like a rebreather type thing, or is it just like a really? Is it like one of those chemical kind of filters that you pull it and then it works against? Right, it's something made by Honeywell. So let me save the PDF and then have a look at it. Yes, I think that is basically a chemical reaction kind of filter. So N95 pleated fiber filter captures smoke particles and traps 95% of all particles 0.5 microns and larger. So it basically starts off with a particle filter. Stage 2, once particles are removed, toxic gases enter an activated carbon bed. Through the process of absorption and reaction, most of the harmful gases, with the exception of CO, have been filtered. So the first 2 stages of it were like a regular gas mask filter. Stage 3, this is the important bit. The air containing CO passes through a granular bed of manganese dioxide, copper dioxide, hopcalite that converts CO to non-toxic CO2. The filtered air is now pulled up through the intake valve into the SCBA facepiece. So basically, it's like a gas mask filter with a one-time working bit that filters CO into CO2. But yeah, it's basically like a chemical reaction thing. So things like that are really useful, but the issue is they're not regular filters, because I don't think you can store those for that long. And I think once they're open, doesn't the CO to CO2 ability of them wear out pretty quickly? Yeah, I think it must be quite nice for people in the state smoky blazer if there's not that many I mean, imagine it depends on your state as well, doesn't it? But if there aren't that many air rifle laws, so you can own quite a powerful air rifle, especially if it's like a break barrel or pump up one, just so you can shoot really cheaply with something fairly powerful. No, £5 for a brand new M10. Well, when you say brand new, I assume you mean in storage for years and years and years. But yeah, that's not a bad price. I mean, even though I don't particularly like cheek filter masks, as things are going at the moment, a cheek filter mask still gives much better protection than an N95 style mask. What mask is it? But that's interesting, Calvert. Have you tried stuffing it with paper or something to let it regain its shape? I don't know if that's just where it's been stored for years in like a weird position or something. That's the only thing I can think of. Because I've had some masks I've had to like expand after I've got them, just because through storage or shipping, they've not turned out all that well. I don't know if it's anything like with that. That's the only thing I can think of. I can show you Commando. Oh, actually, it's in the other room. So no, I can't show you. It's not a very particularly interesting one. It was one of the ones I got off Amazon a while ago as a replacement vape. So I'm not really into it. Like one of my mates has one of those like stupidly high wattage sort of tanks that makes a shitload of vape, but I couldn't really give a shit about that. It's just a nicotine delivery system for me. But yeah. Right, let me just refresh the stream because I can't refresh the stream, can I? Let me do the pop-out chat. Right, the chat's working again now. I had a thing where the chat froze, but it's unfrozen. EJL says, I wore my S10 NBC gloves and my biohazard suit when I was buying groceries and I got bad looks. Well, at least you were safe. So Brandon, the reviewer, is Nico from Grand Theft Auto 4. Nico Bellic. Well, it's probably better than nothing, Siren, but they should probably learn how masks and filters work properly. eBay years ago, Herazamu, and it was one from like somebody selling new old stock 3M masks. It was definitely not a rip-off 3M. It was one with, you know, like the really retro 3M box with it. But yeah, it was like £20 or something because it was a 3M 7500 from the 1990s or something, but still all in the original sealing. And then they bundled it with some of those particle filters. Thank you, Sopo, very much. I like Armour too. Armour 3 is one of the ones I really want to get into, but I never end up getting over the learning curve with Armour 3, but I really should, because Armour 2 is obviously a lot more clunky. But I've not actually played Squad. I think the problem with some like the actual sim games is getting over the learning curve, isn't it? And having to be in the right mindset. I suppose at the moment we've got nothing but time. I think, Connor, some other people might clarify, but I think Avon now has a contract to make GSRs until they go for a new mask. So it's essentially GSRs being made by Avon, not the original Scott GSRs, if that makes sense. Yeah, it depends what mask you're using them with, Nightingale, because we now know that obviously FP5 filters, it seems, depending on the date when they went from GOS to NATO tooling. They just went away after laying down for ages, but I think, Michael, it was actually a bloody like acid reflux thing. What was his views on gun ownership, Paul? You have to let me know. Yeah, post your Discord ID, please, Sopo, and I'll invite you. It depends what sort of range you want to test them on, MJB Bushcraft, but if you're just like basically testing them for low dose type stuff, thorium lamp mantles are fine for that and things like that. If you're wanting to test them at higher doses, you might need proper check sources that you can buy from check source suppliers, or something like radium, if you get like a radium aircraft dial, or potentially Americinium 241, which you can get from smoke alarms. Right, Sopo, let me add you. My favourite gas mask Kittens Gaming out of all the ones I own is the CT12. It's not the best one I own, I just think it looks really cool. I'm going to read the person's comment in a minute who says he's been scammed, but on eBay, if you get scammed, you get buyer protection. So it doesn't like your name, Sopo. Let me try putting it in a few times and then you paste it again. So didn't double check the capitalization, spelling, etc. Can you post your name again, Sopo? It doesn't like it, but sometimes it's just Discord being funny. Yeah, be very careful when you check eBay listings, because obviously some people do the thing of posting a picture of a mask with a filter and then making it very not obvious that they're sending, you know, the filter. Because I've seen a few people doing like that. Right, let me try again, Sopo. Yeah, I only ever use PayPal with eBay. I didn't know you could really do other things with eBay. What is it, like sending a check or something? But still doesn't like it, Sopo, for some reason. Let me just, I'll try a few times, because sometimes it can just be, there we go, it's worked. It's Discord just being Discord, where it randomly doesn't work for some reason, then all of a sudden it works. I don't know why, but there you go. Thank you, let me invite you to server. When you come in, if you look at the rules section, just because at the moment, to try and make it more fair for moderation and everything, when people join Discord, if they can read the rules properly, and then that way, hopefully people won't complain that, you know, they've been banned for not following the rules, and mods won't say, you know, oh, you didn't look at the rules. Yeah, it's, I don't know why it wasn't working, Sopo, but there you go. GSD said, I just paid £149 for a Fushida A4 mask with P3R filter, supposed to be new and unused, made in 2005, waiting on delivery. If it was made as recently as that, then that is quite a good price. I really like the Fushidas. They are lovely, lovely masks in terms of build quality. You know, I only wish they had better voice diaphragms, but in terms of, if ever I get, Chris, you got the military Fushida recently, didn't you? The Skeed Master 90, if you're still in the chat. How would you say that compares to an S10 or like an FM12? I know the main difference is just you can put dual filters if you want to on the Skeedmaster 90, and it's got the drinking tube. But I just think it's a really nice mask in terms of rubber. For those of you who haven't used them, if you've ever used a Scott Pro mask or an M98, it's very similar rubber to that. Sadly, Clutch, there's not much I can recommend at the moment just because of everything selling out constantly. Like a lot of the things I've been recommending are now just being price gouged. So, yeah, such nice weather and we're stuck inside, but, you know, at least take credit and think if you're inside, you're not going to risk spreading it and overwhelming the health service, so you are doing other people a favour, aren't you? Yep, that's a brilliant price for a Spaciani absent. That's a lovely mask. Check M85 Parker. Let me look it up. A lot of these things, sometimes when I Google them, I'm like, oh yeah, it's that. That looks pretty good. I've got the longer sort of check thing like that. That's like a check trench coat, raincoat thing. It really depends, Paul. Some Soviet masks are better than other ones, and it really depends on how well they've been stored and if you can get a good new filter for them. If you've had one that's been stored perfectly, you get a modern GOST filter for them. They're actually all right, especially if it was just for protection from particulate threats. But if you're going to say anything like a GP5M versus a Scott M98 or something, that they don't even come close in regards and that sort of thing. Yes, that, considering the prices at the moment, Clutch Turbo, that is a good price for an S10. Yeah, I assume you mean it's like nearly $3,000, Trent. I wouldn't pay that for one. It's not as cool as they look. Yeah, that is a very good point, Zadil. If there's no point having a mask if you're not going to wear it, I'd agree there. I'm generally wearing half face masks of eye protection when I've been out and about, just so people can hear you more easily. I bought two Spacianis. I bought one for myself and really liked it, and then I bought one for Mike. That's Weapon Collector. When I got one for Mike, I think it was from the Russian seller with barely any feedback, and it did arrive and all fine. No, the Moldex ended up getting refunded fighting Welsh because it either got stolen in the post or the company ran out of stock and pretended they sold it, but Amazon ended up refunding me for it because it was like several weeks late and didn't arrive. Yeah, well, GP5s always sell because they're just cheap masks for somebody who wants the mask for whatever. But sadly, no. PMK's free filters kind of are like external filters. They just connect in a slightly weird way. But yeah, these wouldn't fit sadly in the cheek, unless you mean sticking them externally on the cheek thing. They're not designed to do that. Whether or not you could stretch the rubber over them and they would sit there all right, I don't know. But they're obviously designed to go on the PMK free. Whatever you can get for a reasonable price, Mr. Lake, and you like the look of. Don't let other people say to you, don't get this mask, don't get that mask. Because if you're collecting them, it's more what you like the look of, I guess, more of, or like the history behind. French M51s sometimes still sell cheaply, and they, although they're definitely not the best masks in the world, I really like the look of them in terms of retro masks. Wow, yeah, $50 to $200 is a lot. Right, to Texas. I've had my coffee already. Klosweek, that I can't pronounce your name, but I had it in my branded mug. Look, I made it with a coffee machine as well today. It wasn't even just instant coffee. Don't make me hungry, Peach. No, I've barely ever had any MREs. I'm pretty sure now and again I've had like one or two, but I've never done videos on them. And I don't see the point personally buying MREs to do videos on unless you're like that Steve guy that does, you know, all the MRE videos. I can see the point why he does it because he's a channel that specializes it. When people like to me, can you buy a really expensive MRE, you know, just to show what's in it? Well, not really, because you can already look online and see what's in it. I wish I did Volt. Sadly, I don't. It's a hard one to say, Joshua, but I would say out of all the masks I've got, maybe my Fushida A4 just because that is a very comfortable mask in terms of rubber and just how well it fits my face. My Scott M98 is really comfortable as well. I think a lot of the time it really comes down to your face shape, getting a mask that's just the right size for your face, you know, where you don't have to do the straps up too tight or whatever. Also, rubber materials, it also depends, do you have any allergies? Because obviously if people are allergic to some types of rubber, that doesn't mean that certain masks are good for them. How would you know what Elvish biscuits from Lord of the Rings taste like? No, I've never tried CBD coffee, Mike. Well, I have never been scammed on eBay as far as I'm aware, Ebson. I bought stuff before. Wow, actually, closest I got to being scammed on eBay was not too long ago. And what that was I bought a thing, and you know where some sellers do the dodgy thing of they're technically not lying in their listing, but they're being very, very, you know, kind of dodgy with the truth. It was a bit like the issue Mike had with his Riot helmet, where it was a seller that was basically in the US selling ionization chambers. A bit like the CDVs, but they were a low range one. I really wanted, you know, like a millirontgen range ionization chamber. So it was one of those. Not a CDV, but a similar kind of, you know, US one in like a metal case kind of thing that did a similar thing. Yeah, Finish M61s are very comfortable, Tumbo, for what they are. Yeah, so I bought this ionization chamber, and in the small print of the listing I didn't see, it said, you know, the photo is just of one particular one. They may come missing parts, you know, and they said all this in the description. And then, of course, I got one missing parts, so I couldn't run it. So if I was in the States, it wouldn't have been too bad because it would have been like $30 plus a little bit of shipping. Because I had to pay import tax and all that, I ended up having to pay all that tax for something missing a fucking part of the power supply. You know, that didn't work. Detriment saying that, I've got a load of CBD over there that I haven't used in ages, so maybe I will fill the vape up with CBD at some point and enjoy some CBD. So, out of, well, what I've got, Guido, is I've got a couple of masks set up ready to go with filters in bags like that. Out of all the ones I've currently got, maybe the Scott M98 at this point, I think, just because that is, I find, very comfortable, very good field of view. It's got a good voice diaphragm so other people can understand you. So I'd say my Scott M98. The Scott Pro mask, Andre. Yeah, that's a very good mask. I've not got the Pro mask, but everybody I know who's got one says they're excellent. As far as I'm aware, it's just the Scott M98, isn't it? Just, you can't change the side the filter's on. There's no drinking tube. I was saying that with the actual M98. I don't know if you can change the side the filter's on. No, you can't. There's a different number, isn't it, for the Scott M98? Is it the Scott M110 or the M120 or something that's a variant with two filters? I can't remember. Don't show any Denix. Right, I won't, Peach. I have not heard anything about customs stopping masks, but lots of people have stories like that. Sometimes it just comes down to the customs official. Oh, don't forget to like the stream, everybody, if you're on, because there's a lot more viewers than likes. That might be a good idea, Iron Man. I've never tried them, and you have to be careful with something like that. You don't suffocate. The newest Russian mask I have was the PMK3, and I've also got an ROU somewhere. I can't remember where it is, but the ROU is like the fabric mask. That's annoying, David Brennan. If they work, Trent Dabs, and it's protecting people, that's great. But again, with a lot of this 3D printed stuff, as I was trying to explain on the video the other day, 3D printed stuff can really come in a variety of qualities. Really good 3D printed stuff can be great. The problem is a lot of people 3D print stuff don't really use good plastic materials or know what they're doing when they make it. So then it could be, you know, no protection factor offered by it. So again, I think with a lot of stuff, it comes down to how well designed it is, how well made it is, and if you're using it against things it's meant to withstand. When I said what I said in review, Peach, for this, it's marginally better than the GP7, the PMK1. Like, if you said, would I wear this or a PMK1, I'd definitely wear this. Do I still think it's a good mask? No, it still has a lot of the drawbacks of the PMK1, you know, that they never got around to fixing. We can't actually get Denix replicas here. Well, most people can't, that are past like the old West style ones, because British laws on antiques and replicas is very strange. I can have a fully firing Martini Henry without a license because it's an antique firearm, but I can't have a Denix replica of a Sturmgewehr or an AK or whatever. I don't know. I'd assume probably things like light anti-gas respirators, Jamel. But if British Raj, that would be like British India, wouldn't it? That would be, I think, just whatever Britain was using during World War II or whatever time period. Well, I've got a review of it for Tail, but as I was saying, it's an alright mask if you can get one for a decent price. It uses its own weird filter system. Why they just didn't stick to GOST, I don't know. But in terms of visibility, voice diaphragm and all that, it's absolutely fine. I'll put it on. It's got uncomfortable straps still. They didn't fix the straps. It's still got that very saggy kind of face piece seal. But yeah, in terms of visibility, it's alright. You know, voice diaphragm, as you can probably hear, is alright, but it's not the most comfortable mask in the world. It still has a lot of the drawbacks the older PMKs had. Well, the SR1 casualty mask, if you can get one for a good price and want one, why not? It's a creepy looking mask. Again, it always depends what you want them for. If you want it just as something to look nice on display, then sure. If you wanted one for serious protection, I don't know if it would offer that. Yes, in theory, if you've got a closed valve on the inside of a mask, like an intake valve, let's see if I can demonstrate it with a mask easily. What have I got laying about? But this will be a good example. So let's say you've got your filter on here. If you've got your filter on here, yeah, if you've capped the other side of the filter, the valve there is stopping air flowing through the filter. So it's not really going to degrade any faster if you've got the filter on than if you haven't got the filter on. But the point is, it depends what you're using the filter for, as always, because again, if you're using them for really serious things, you don't really want to have surplus filters. You want to have a brand new filter that you open to use against a threat. There isn't really, Robert, any difference. Gas mask, anti-gas mask, respirator. You know, there's loads of different terms. Protective mask. It depends how facetious, I guess, you want to be on terminology, because you'll get some people go, you can't call it a gas mask, you have to call it an air filtering respirator or whatever. But as far as my spaghetti bolognese, it's a full katana, but obviously it's not a nice forged one in Japan. It is just a Chinese mass-produced one, you know, not in a factory, but, you know, like essentially loads of guys on anvils, I think, just hammering them out. No, I quit smoking years ago, Jamie. I still vape occasionally, but Christopher said, I've been wearing SM67 to my job at a food market. I've gotten a lot of complaints and people ask me where they can get one. So some people complain, other people want one. Sort of a funny balance, isn't it, there? But yeah. Swiss SM67s, if I remember. I haven't used mine in ages. It's actually quite a comfortable mask for how basic it is. Finish M2. I think you mean the Finish M61 V2 detriment. If you mean the Finish M61 V2, yes, that's a very good mask. It's one of my personal favourites. First gas mask I ever owned. Did you say Smolky was an idiot? But if somebody tried to take your gas mask off of you, isn't that like assault? In theory. My end of the world survival plan, Scott, would probably be, if it got really bad, in all honesty. Depends how bad it got, but you know, if you've got chronic underlying health conditions where you waste away without medication like I do, I don't think I'd like to live in a post-apocalyptic world like that, because shitting your guts out every day where you get more and more internal bleeding isn't a fun way to go. Walter Newman said, my uncle is a World War II collector, had an American Mickey Mouse mask, which is the exact one mentioned in the video for Scariest Mask. Should I sell something eBay for? Be very careful selling it, Walter, because you don't want it to get sold and somebody to scam you for it, because it is a very rare collectible mask. Personally, I would say, could you get it to a museum somewhere where they could permanently display it and it was looked after properly? Because I think with a mask that rare, you'd want whoever gets it to really, really look after it. But yeah, amazing if he's got that mask, because it's very rare and very cool. But definitely take some pictures of it and document it, because I'm sure lots of people would love to see the pictures of it. But yeah, the worst case scenario is some idiot buys it off you, claims they never got it, even if you send it recorded or something. You lose all the money from it, lose the mask, you know. But Andre says, if I find a gas mask on eBay that is about half the, what's that, recommended sales price? Is that a size scam? Not really. It just really depends, I think, sometimes on conditions of stuff, how far somebody wants to shift stock. Because that's another thing, don't forget. Sometimes people just want to sell something and get it sold and quickly make a profit. So, you know, if somebody got a bulk load of masks somewhere really cheap, they might still be making a profit on them, but they know if they list them at a reasonable price, people quite often want to buy them. Whereas if they try and get as much as they could potentially get for a mask, you know, they might be sitting on them for ages and they keep getting relisted and relisted and relisted. That's a similar thing with Geiger counters and a lot of radiological protection gear, or monitoring gear, I should say, where quite often you see somebody list one on eBay for quite a lot more than what other people are selling them for. And in theory, yes, they might be worth that, but the thing is, if other people are listing them at cheaper prices, why would you pay for the more expensive offer? Robert said, is Pro 2000 ABEC 2P3 a good mask? Well, that's a filter, isn't it? Will it... I assume you mean, would it be a good filter? Right, in theory, it's not a GOST filter. However, a lot of people have been saying recently when they've been measuring them, they think they're 40mm DIN, so they should in theory fit Soviet masks. If I had the space, maybe, Nathan, but... Chunky Monkey says, there might be hopeless businessmen who keep buying things for higher prices and selling at lower prices. I guess that's what you mean. Let me have a look, Infinity. I don't know. It's how thing. What's your Discord ID, Infinity? I can have a look for you. But Newt's doing some server maintenance at the moment, where he's changing channels around. So I think it's, you know, how things are doing. But what, Infinity? What's your Discord ID? Oh, or it is Infinity, isn't it? I think he might have screwed the permissions up at the moment. Maybe, because all I can see online is admins at the moment, not regular people. Oh, there we go. Yeah, what's happened, I think by accident, he set admin permissions, so only mods can view most of the servers. So I'm sure he'll get on that. Yeah, I knew you were Infinity as soon as you said that, because you've got the tinfoil hat picture, haven't you? So, Charlo, sadly I don't. But yeah, so... No, the Spaziani is either NATO threaded or DIN, Alman. I'm not actually sure which, but NATO filters will fit in it fine. So yeah, Infinity, what I think's happening, I'm sure Newt will sort out in a moment. He's doing some maintenance to channels, for like who can view certain channels, who can't. And I think at the moment he's accidentally set all the channels to admin only. So I'm sure he'll fix that. I don't want to start trying to change him while he's trying to change him. Yeah, he says we're fixing stuff right now with Discord. So yes, it's nothing personal, Infinity. It's just Newt's trying to fix things or like doing some maintenance. How long does it say it should take to arrive, Susie? But yeah, don't worry, you've not been banned or anything. It's just I think he's sorting out text channels. I really like the FM12. It's an amazing mask. The only thing I've heard people don't like for the FM12 is apparently if you're running in it, it can sometimes break the seal, but I've not had any issues myself. But the FM12 CT12 is one of my favourite mask design, because it's just an improved S10. David Brennan says, the 3M mask P100 filters are going for crazy prices. Literally everything's going for crazy prices on Amazon. This is the moment. Yeah, they have some random sod on D&B Militaria. I thought they looked cool, but I've not got one. But what's that, Amazon or eBay? Give it a couple of days, because post is slow at the moment. And of course, it's a bank holiday at the moment now, so post won't come until Tuesday, will it now? I don't think. Ooh. PNV 57Es are normally a couple of €100 each, I think, Barnabas. Because bear in mind, PNV 57, there's a 57A and a 57E. The 57A is only the one that can see using IR light. The 57E is the actual Gen 1 Plus night vision. PNV 57Es, despite the bulk and size, are really nice night vision for what they are. But so I'd say probably a couple of €100, I'd imagine. I've not actually looked recently. Only issue, Alman, as well, is PPE exports are banned from Russia at the moment, aren't they? Servers for donators, Nathan. But yeah, I'm interested in those Schmidt-Rubin rifles. I'm short-sighted, so as in, if I've not got my glasses on, I'd struggle to read text. That text's in Russian anyway, so I wouldn't read it. But the point is, with glasses, I can generally read stuff up close absolutely fine. With glasses on, I can obviously read stuff at a distance fine, because these are decent glasses. They don't make anything blurry up close, so most of the day I just keep them on for convenience. Yes, the S10 is very good. I love the S10. I would shill the S10 any day of the week. But again, don't pay too much for them, because if you'll end up buying an S10 and it costs you more than something like a Scott Pro mask, it's really not worth it. Yeah, fucking mask. I don't know VS, because I thought CT was like counter-terrorist 12 or something, wasn't it? But yeah, I don't know what the FM stands for. I am not touching Discord at the moment, Newt, as you can probably see. I am reading things. How long's your air rifle going to take to arrive, Peach? I imagine a lot of places aren't doing anything with them, are they, at the moment? I don't sell any masks, Tor. But there's a lot of masks you could potentially get for your father. Half face masks, full face masks. What country are you in, Tor? Because I did see the other day there was still some reasonably priced 3M4251s on eBay. So let me link you to those. I want ones on buy it now, not people price gouging. New, and where's buy it now? Buy it now 923. Here's a link to one. It's a bit more than I would normally. You're in Sweden, okay. I don't know if they ship to Sweden, this seller. Australia, so I don't want to think you're talking from Australia. The problem is I can't really tell easily who's shipping in Sweden, who isn't. That's the issue I always have when people are asking me outside the UK what postage would work out as and taxes and all that. But in general, there are still masks about. You just have to end up searching for ages to find them. Just replying to somebody asking about the channels disappearing. Right, there we go. Right. Facial mask, the Fighting Welsh thinks. Yeah, like Ahmed said, if they're not stating what a filter's particle protection is, it probably means it's the bare minimum. No, I've not got a Leatherman somewhere, and I can't find it. I've got a Ganzo clone of either a Leatherman or one of the other multi-tools, and that's really nice for what it is. It's not perfect, it's not as good as an actual Leatherman, but that was really good. But I have no clue where I've put it, because I keep looking for it, thinking it's got a really good pair of pliers on that. I want the pliers. Abel says, when I buy a gas mask, I check for cracks and run material that may lead to leaks, and then checking the mask sticks to your face when taking a breathing more hard clothes and feel. Yeah, that's a good thing to do. If you've got smelly things, you can also put the mask on with some strong smelling odours and see if the filters and all that are working properly. Nathan, there's lots and lots of rules regarding this. I'd have to register it as a Section 1 firearm if I wanted to shoot it. And I said I've got no interest in doing that. So while I've got it and it's technically live, I won't be shooting it. There will be a dry fire video at some point when I get some dummy rounds for it, so I can very safely, do a drill and eject. But I also have people whinging on that video the other day. I turned the comments off because they're like, you can't dry fire it. I bought it. I can do what I want with it, in all honesty. I wouldn't do anything stupid and damage it. But I think if the gun's over 100 years old and still functioning, dry firing it is not going to hurt it. Yeah, no, slingshots can transfer a lot of energy, can't they, David? That's the thing. I think compared to an air rifle, they would be more humane in that regard. Yeah, you could put some cloth over the exhale port, or you could maybe put some toilet paper over the exhale port, but I know that's in short supply at the moment. I might do a video on that because I had a few people asking about that, but I think on a lot of masks, yes, there would be ways of putting something simply over the exhale valve to help protect other people. Abel said your vids are golden lol buying masks. I reviewed my old Russian ones, thanks to you, and learned about the cheap filters and types. That's all right. Glad you find it interesting. Connor says, for me, I test gas masks by waiting for my dad to do his big moaning poo and then go in the bathroom. If I throw up, I know it's got a bad seal. That's a pretty extreme test. Don't know if I'd recommend that. It's a bit disgusting, but I suppose if it survives that, you're protected from shit agents. That's my decimeter beeping again. It's logged another micro sievert. Yeah, you could do, but surgical masks are in quite short supply, and it's a bit of an effort, isn't it, to stretch a big surgical mask over a tiny exhale valve when you could just put some sort of paper that lets air through and catches liquids, Potentially, Almond. I don't know quite, though, in the UK how some of the obsolete things work. So I have a feeling some of the obsolete things actually have to be an obsolete caliber, and I don't think 5.56 is becoming obsolete anytime soon. It'd be nice if one of the old bolt actions became an obsolete caliber, so you could get, a fully functioning bolt action. I'll have to have a look at some screenshot, Horsey, because I've not played Metro in long enough to remember, but don't they just look like generic filters, Metro? Do you mean on the covers or in-game, the filters? I mean, they're not very good filters because they expire within 5 minutes. Right. The filters, looking at screenshots of them, remind me a bit of the old S10 and S6 filters, but I don't know if I've got any handy. But they look like slightly green variants of that. I think it's just a generic filter. But if I get you a picture up of S6 gas mask filter, let's see if I can find a picture of one. Right. If you have a look at, it's not identical to this, but it's pretty close. I know it's meant to be in Russia, but it's just this kind of generic stamped kind of filter material. So if you see that, it looks very similar to that. In my opinion, anyway. You get quite a few different 40mm style filter variants like that. I wasn't planning on getting rid of it for now. I just shave along like this, so I can wear masks properly. Sadly, Alman, it's not considered obsolete caliber over here. I wish it was, otherwise I'd get a fully functional Lee Enfield. But no, it's not considered obsolete here yet. I think it's probably just because there's shitloads of it lying around. Bushcraft, but the Scott GSR has 40mm ports under the bayonet bit. The bayonet bit is like an adapted bit put on, so it takes the bayonet filter. But Chris was saying earlier that the FRR has less breathing resistance with 40mm. Yeah, I might do a video at some point, me, when I get bored and feel like doing a DIY thing of making some, very basic masks out of old cloth material. Right, do I want to risk looking at Twitter, Peach, and see what you've sent me? Right, let me take my glasses off because I don't want it to reflect some sort of horrific... Oh, it's just a guy filter sucking. Okay, that's not as bad as I thought. That kind of looks like a camera lens, how they've done that. That guy can open his mouth pretty wide, can't he? I don't know if he's got a career doing something else. But unless the guy's face has actually been a ripped off, severed head, and that's a bit creepy. Imagine somebody severing somebody's head, hollowing out their head, and then putting like a filter in their mouth area and wearing their head as I've done a video recently, Infinity, But yeah, I want to do another homemade mask video. I'm kind of tempted. I want to make something a bit like those Soviet PTM1 masks, like that one there and that one there. I wouldn't be able to make them as well as that, but for those of you that don't know what the PTM1s are, they're really cool, I think. They're Soviet Union fallout masks, and the idea was that they kind of remind me a bit of Plague Doctor masks, but the idea was that they're kind of just cottony sort of fabric. They're kind of like bedsheet, pillowcase kind of material masks. And the idea is that you can actually wear these as glasses, which is the cool thing. I don't want to put stress on my glasses, but then you tie the back bit up. Yeah, the point was PTMs were quite cool masks in terms of the function of them being a very, very basic fallout mask. They're creepy looking, I think, but yeah. It is very comfortable because it's literally just cotton. That's all it is. It's like pillowcase sort of material. The eyepieces are just GP5, like anti-fogging bits that you cut into the shape of the eyepiece. Well, I was saying that. These ones, I think, are glass. Let's have a look. I think these ones are glass. Yeah. Okay, this is a high-quality PTM one because as well as the rubber band here, it's got glass eyepieces. Whereas most of the PTM ones I've seen, you have the thing where you fit GP5 lenses into them. But yeah, that's interesting. Look, it's got glass eyepieces in this one. Isn't that fancy? Sadly, I was looking at that because people kept saying, can I get a Plague Doctor mask? And they're actually selling out with coronavirus stuff. So even the Plague Doctor masks that don't work, that are fancy dress ones on Amazon, are selling out. Yeah, Daniel. Yeah, people were on about the Schmidt-Rubin earlier. After the next payday, if I really can't think of much to get, I might get a Schmidt-Rubin from D&B Militaria. Because now I've got the Martini and I've got, working action I can fuck about with. Although at least a lot of the action does work on the Lee Enfield up there. But yeah, in terms of an actual potentially fireable, but even I wouldn't really bother registering it and bothering to fire it, I'm kind of tempted by a Schmidt-Rubin. Is a Schmidt-Rubin just literally an obsolete caliber, or is it like a pinfire or something weird? It's mostly just layers of cotton, that are in the cloth masks. Because by having layers of cotton or some sort of cloth, that's acting as a particulate filter. It's obviously not as good as a proper paper heaper filter you get in a standard filter. Oh, it's pinfire. It's just a strange pinfire gun. But yeah, it looks interesting. I might get one. Right, what I did do, Nathan, because at the moment, furloughed, we're all under lockdown, is I used to work weekends as a cleaner, and I used to volunteer with the Blue Cross at an animal shelter on Thursdays, doing like cleaning and animal socializing for them on Thursdays. At the moment, I can't do anything but YouTube because my weekend job has been closed down by the government because all, like certain non-essential places had to close. And the Blue Cross says to lower the risk of infection, volunteers shouldn't come in at the moment, and they've got a skeleton crew staff working there. 7.5 Swiss. Let me look that up. I'm actually quite interested. But yes, maybe I will get won't get on those Schmidt-Rubins because it's a pretty fascinating looking gun, isn't it? Yeah, maybe I will. Oh, I hope I don't look like a professor, but yeah. But yeah, they're actually much cheaper and more modern, aren't they, than that Martini Henry I've got. I wanted the Martini just because of the history of it, but Infinity says, I want your SLR tough, I'm not selling it. I can't even legally sell it now because it's one of the, not as bastardized as the new Diak guns. What's ended up happening is if I wanted to sell it, I'd have to pay like over £100 to have them grind even more of it and weld even more of it to get a new certification of deactivation so I could then sell it. So it's now at the stage where I'm legally allowed to own it, but you can't even get rid of it even if you wanted to. Thank you, Benjamin. I appreciate it. But yeah, I'll be off in a minute. I might stream again tonight. If I'm in a good enough mood and can have a laugh with people, I might stream again tonight. But yeah. Yeah, sounds interesting for town. But yeah. Spaziani. Yeah. I assume it's Spaziani. I don't know with pronouncing Italian words, but yeah, you do El Homer. With mine, you've got until some point in 2021 to do it. So what I'm doing is I'm waiting till partway through 20, like there's a month to go, and then registering them then, because if they change the rules and say you don't need to register them, that was a waste of time doing it. It's for donators, Jonathan. But anyway, I'll be off now. Thanks everybody. It's been a good stream. Glad everybody's in theory, they're better protective than nothing. This is the thing. What we've learned, and I ought to do a more in-depth video on this, is they've worked out viral load is actually a risk factor with COVID. So the more you're exposed to, like the more you're breathing in the germs, the more you're going to potentially develop a bad version of the illnesses. So what they're just want to make this quick point before I go off. So what they're saying is, in theory, the less you inhale of the thing, the less at risk you are, because it just causes less of a viral load to your system. So in theory, any kind of protection you're wearing works better than nothing, as well as, minimizing contact with people, obviously. Nothing that I've seen, Peach, unfortunately, for sensible prices. A lot of them look quite rusty and beat up for, like £300-400, which I don't really want to pay. It's the same reason I never got one of the big sword bayonets for Lee Enfield. Because if you're getting one beat up, it ought to be cheap, and you ought to only really pay good money if they're in pristine condition. I don't like the idea of buying something that's beaten up for loads of money. Ribbed, Samuel. It's a joke. But anyway, I'll be off now. Thanks, everybody. It's been a good stream. Don't forget to like the stream on your way out. And I might stream again later because it's an Easter bank holiday and we're all stuck indoors with a nice sunny day outside. Yeah, so see you then. Goodbye.